Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Alison McConnell are here with me to look back over the weekend's Scottish Cup final and, of course, the Premiership matches as well. You can give us your view on any particular team, whichever one is your favourite. We'd love to hear from you on our Facebook feed. You can like, share and follow with us. And if you're on our YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe, and we're on Twitter as well. So, and with that, let's not forget also that if you miss it all, you can catch up on the podcast. So, Scottish Cup final, 3-3, 4-3 in penalties. Celtic win their 12th consecutive trophy, their 40th Scottish Cup win, and of course, the quadruple treble. Roughie, what a game it was. It's certainly in the top 10 Scottish Cup finals I've ever attended. Where does it rank for you?
Oh yeah, it's up there. It had everything. It had good bits, it had bad bits. Particularly, when Celtic went 2-0 up, you thought in the olden days this would have been done and dusted. They'd probably maybe get another goal in the second half, and that'd been it. But all credit to Hearts, they capitalised, and again, a lot of bad mistakes in that Celtic defence, which made it a really, really exciting end to the game. But you could see when that last penalty went in how much it meant to Neil Lennon and the players. Celebrations like you've never seen for a long time, and it just shows you how much it meant to them.
Yeah, hi to so many people actually messaging us. Lachlan Gold, Hugh Scott, great to have you on. Liam McShane, Shane Johnson, Kenny Whitson, Brian Curtis, John Barr, Brian Morgan, Dougie Little, so many people commenting today on the Cup final. Ruffy's mentioned there. I mean, it did have everything, Tam. And as ever, it had a rank rotten defence, and that was Celtic's. and to their credit, Hearts capitalised on it.
Yeah, they did, Peter. I mean, obviously, you're delighted if you're a Celtic fan, you're watching that game. To win 12 consecutive trophies is an unbelievable achievement. But there's still in the back of your mind, there's a big worry about the season ahead in terms of the rest of the trophies. Because defensively, again, Celtic were awful. The centre-back, Shane Duffy, the goalkeeper, Connor Hazard, was poor at the goal as well. He deemed himself in a penalty shootout. But listen, I think there's still massive questions about that Celtic defence. And the Hearts exploited it, and it's still a team from the Championship. Let's not forget that. It's a team from a league below, although they've got some really good players. For Celtic to go 2-0 in a cup final and to scrape by in penalty kicks, it's never really been seen before for either the old firm. Usually when they go 2-0 up, I spoke to you today, Peter, when Celtic Rangers go 2-0 up in a cup final, they shut up shop or they go and win 3 or 4-0. This was incredible. That gave Hearts no chance at 2-0 down. So for them to come back into it was a little bit for their, they had a go at the second half, but Celtic gave them goals and they nearly paid the price at the end.
We'll hear from managers and players regarding the Cup final, Alison, but let's not forget that Neil Lennon is part of something historic. It is absolutely incredible when you think of it. He has written himself into the history books. It's a quadruple treble, and he's also done it, winning a treble as a player and a manager. That is no mean achievement, regardless of us picking through the bones of the game.
Without question, I think Neil Lennon has woven himself into the very fabric of the club over the last 2 decades. I know he's had time away in that period as well, but he's synonymous with Celtic, both as player and manager, and it's a very unique achievement. For me, I think there are 2 layers to it today. I think you look at it in isolation and you say it's an extraordinary achievement. For any team to win a treble is very, very difficult. You saw Rangers slipping up last week in Paisley against St Mirren, which illustrates just how difficult it is to do over the course of a full campaign. So to go on and do it 4 times is remarkable. I think it's an achievement that everyone involved with should be delighted with. They should draw credit from it, and you should look at it and appreciate just how difficult I think it is to do. I doubt any of us will see it repeated again. But the other layer to go with it is that given everything that's going on around the club this season, it's very difficult to see it purely in isolation, because when you see the deficiencies that came to the fore from the second half onwards, it doesn't entirely encourage any school of thought that would suggest that Celtic now are capable of using it as a catalyst to go and close the gap on Rangers and make up the 16-point difference that's now emerged. So I think there are 2 factions to it, and I think if you're putting on a rational head, you still have to think about getting to January and looking at serious reinforcements coming in to shore up that defence.
Yeah, absolutely. Two central defenders and a goalkeeper is my view on it, and a rethink of how they actually defend. But nevertheless, thank you to everyone who joined us yesterday on our live broadcast from Hampden Park. Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi looks over the wreckage of a pulsating match.
Celtic completed a quadruple treble in nail-biting fashion as the Hibs beat Hearts on penalties after a 3-3 draw at an empty Hampden Park in yesterday's Scottish Cup final. The feat makes boss Neil Lennon unique as the first man to win a treble as both a player and a manager.
I hope it gives everyone a sense of perspective on how difficult what this team has achieved over the 4 years. I think some people take it for granted. I think some people expected it of them, and as if they just have to roll up and win, and it's not as easy as that.
It looked like Celtic of old in the first half as Ryan Christie and Odsonne Edouard scored wonderful goals to accompany utter dominance, but the Jambos fought back and brought it level in the second half with headers from Liam Boyce and Stephen Kingsley. They could have even won it before full time with Josh Ginnelly blazing over. Lee Griffiths was introduced and showed his poacher's instinct to fire in before a Conor Hazard error in the green and white goal let Ginnelly make amends and send the game the distance. In the shootout, Hazard redeemed himself, saving from Kingsley and Craig Whiten to secure the 12th consecutive domestic trophy.
I was quite angry now, but look, at the end of the day, it's all about trying to bounce back and try and get your composure back as quick as possible, which at the end of the day, thank God I did.
For the Tynecastle outfit, it was a stunning turnaround, which will surely give them belief to go on and secure their return to the top flight. Boss Robbie Nielsen felt his players gave their all and carved out the better chances.
Probably the biggest thing is pride in what the players did today. I think we were coming in here as 10-1 outsiders, underdogs. And we probably had the better of the game, probably had the better of the chances.
Captain Steven Naismith had an ongoing battle with counterpart Scott Brown all game, and he was visibly dejected at the full-time whistle. He echoed his manager's thoughts.
Second half we showed that we've still got the fight and we wanted to do well, and I think over the course of the 120 minutes, going on chances, we probably had better than what Celtic had.
So Hearts will take the positives back into the league, but again leave Hampden empty-handed, while Celtic squeezed over the line to make themselves record breakers, quadruple treble winners, which will surely never be repeated.
I don't think it'll be repeated in my lifetime, certainly not Roughie's, Tam's or Alison. What do you think? What about your lifetime if you happen to be 5 years of age watching the show at the moment? Anyway, apart from anything else, Tam, I'll let you fall out with them. Should Naisy have been sent off for the stamp?
Yeah, I think it should have, Peter, to be honest. I think it's clear that he's left his foot in there. He could have put his foot anywhere, to be honest. And he stamped down on Scott Brown. The referee missed it. And I don't think Scott Brown made too much of it. He could have made a lot more if they rolled about. I think he just got up and got on, mate. And it was actually an intriguing battle to watch these two all day. It was the two of them were at it, the whole game. And Andy Halliday was at it as well. But that's Scott Brown. He's a winner. He wants to win. He wants to wind opposition up. And at the end of the day, he's more often than not, he's the one holding the trophy aloft. So you've got to say that he got the better of it, but it was great to watch. Guys like that, experienced players going at it. But it did stay over the line a couple of times, and Naisy maybe got away with one. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that physical battle, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people, lots of fans who are Celtic fans who are messaging on Facebook are saying he should have gone, he should have been sent off. James Alexander Ingram, on the other hand, this is not the show for you, James. You have got the brain the size of an amoeba, and basically you could go and insult people on a fanzine. That would be better for you, James. That's where your intelligence lies. As far as listening to it, I was delighted, Roughie, that they didn't have any noise inside the ground, any fake noise channeled in, fake crowd noises, music, whatever, because you could hear the chat. I mean, I could hear Scott Brown actually looking around, and he burst out laughing at Andy Halliday. So I thought to myself, okay, there's a wee tit for tat going there. And I actually, if I'd have been a spread better, I would have put a good few quid on Andy Halliday to pick up another yellow as he smashed Brown later on. But he obviously stayed on the part. And Naismith was just an education again. He moaned his way through the whole game, Roughie. Had a word with the ref, get him off, what about that foul, this, that, the other. And then, of course, he could have had a red in the game. It was great to listen to the chat between the two teams, in a cup final. Unbelievable insight into the mentality of footballers, Roughie.
Yeah, it's something the supporters miss, obviously, when there's a large crowd in the stadium, but it just shows you the passion that both sets of players have to be winners in this particular occasion. You're right, but it must be absolutely soul destroying if you come in and you whack Scott Brown and he gets up and he just laughs and walks away. It must be horrible for the other players, when they think they've actually done him, and he just gets up and gets on with it. But no, he gives as much as he gets. You're right, and I know we've talked about the goalkeeper, but I was pleased for Corzahada that he had the 2 penalty saves, because you wouldn't want a young goalkeeper to have that in the back of his mind, that he was the goalkeeper who lost the quadruple treble. And it was good that he had these 2 saves. I personally thought Naisy fouled him at the second one. I thought Naisy took him out, stopped his momentum, but the third goal, I can't save him from that one. So well done to him, as a young boy with a big future in front of him. And I'm glad he made these 2 saves.
Yeah, well done to Roughie there, who was playing the role of Ted, Dan Minister in Three Men and a Little Lady, and of course Rowan Atkinson in Love Actually, because his name is Connor Hazard. Just in case.
I thought you said Eddie Izzard.
Oh, honestly, it's
Connor
just
Hazard.
magnificent. It's magnificent, by the way. There's the whole year of 2020 is littered with players we've never heard of. It's magnificent. But I get your point. Roughie, on his performance. Listen, he's remembered for the 2 penalty saves, but he's got a long way to go on a learning curve, and I still think, overall, the overall view on this. First and foremost, somebody said to me this morning, listen, you can look at the game all you want. This is Hearts in the Championship. Okay, they're not a Championship side. In my view, they were given a kick where the sun don't shine, where they should never have been in the Championship. So that's the first thing. I thought they played magnificently well. Celtic were a penalty kick away from disaster. When they went behind in the penalty shootout, it was nip and tuck. But eventually Neil Lennon got it over the line. Look at the stats for the quadruple treble. It's absolutely incredible for Celtic. First time Scottish Cup has been won by same club 4 seasons in a row. 2-1 win over Hearts in 2016. Ended with a penalty shootout over Hearts. 180 games played, 147 wins, 11 lost, 22 draws, 452 goals, 36 cup wins, 107 cup goals. I mean, it's incredible. Clean sheets, 26, which, has been a while. And, of course, McGregor, Brown, Rogic played in all 8 cup finals. It's an absolutely incredible set of statistics, Alison.
It is, isn't it? I think when you see that, you can see just how dominant they've been as a force over the last 4 seasons. The clean sheets in particular, I think you must look at now and yearn for some of that solidity that was on show throughout that run. In terms of the guys that have featured in all of them, Callum McGregor, I think, has just played a phenomenal amount of football over the last 3 or 4 seasons. The minutes that he's clocked up, I think at one stage he was the leading performer in European football for the amount of football played. But I do wonder now if he's getting to a stage where it's taken a bit of a toll and he could maybe do with a breather just getting into the latter half of the campaign that's coming up. I do think sometimes you can go to the well too often for the same players all the time. I think James Forrest too wouldn't have been too far away in terms of the same minutes. He's obviously still injured, but he would have featured in all of them bar yesterday's. And he's another one. I think he would be well over 140, 50 appearances throughout that run. It just shows you the longevity of some of these players, but I think now they need a bit of help and they need some new blood coming in January.
Yeah, well, James Forrest was in the stand yesterday. He won't be back until the end of January, just in case any Celtic fan was thinking he might be back a little bit sooner. It's going to be a further wait for him. Neil Lennon, he goes down in the history books when you look at it as a player and a manager. First manager to win a Scottish domestic treble as both player and manager. Only one of 4 managers to win a treble. We know them: Jock Stein, Martin O'Neill, Brendan Rodgers, and now Neil Lennon. 21 medals as a player and manager at Celtic. And that collection of medals is absolutely incredible. Listen, let's not kid ourselves on here. I think he deserves credit for what he's achieved when he came back after Brendan Rodgers departed. He's had 2 terms as manager, but I am telling you right now, Tam, as sure as we are on the 21st of December, I'm talking maybe 7 to 10 days, they could be calling for his head.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. I think it's on a knife edge still. You know, the supporters, obviously, they're delighted yesterday with the result. You've seen a lot of them outside Hampden celebrating. But I think he's one result away. He's one draw away in the league from them shouting for his head again and throwing things at the telly, not only at the telly, but probably like police outside the Parkhead. So, listen, I think it's still in the balance. I think he's got to win every game. I think they've got a pretty easy run in, to be honest. I think they've got some easy games before they play against Rangers at Ibrox, but that game is going to be absolutely crucial to Neil Lennon. I feel as if the board have gave him, obviously, the cup final, and they're going to give him until that game at Ibrox, I think January the 3rd. If Rangers beat Celtic that game, I think he'll be out the door. I think the league's gone. I think the league's gone anyway, but that'll just cement it. So we'll need to wait and see. He's got to win every game, Peter, including that Rangers game.
I share your view on that, Tam. Roughie, we're going to talk about Hearts in a moment because I think they deserve tremendous praise for the way they played the game. One thing I want to highlight is the fact that, having left Hampden and having to walk down to our broadcast area, there were certainly huge members of the Green Brigade, other Celtic fans who decided to turn up. I thought it was bang out of order. I don't know what the police were doing. I don't know why they didn't disperse them. I don't know why they allowed them to actually all assemble, whether to cheer a bus or do whatever the hell they thought they were doing there. But whether it was there or outside Celtic Park, there was no social distancing. Some people just couldn't be bothered wearing a mask. And I just thought they're just breaking the law. They're breaking the rules. And I don't know how they managed to get away with it. I just thought it was bang out of order.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. It's not something you want to see in the game. If you're a true supporter of a Pacific club and you've just won, the cup and everything like the CV we've just thrown up there, you should be celebrating. Yes, you've got the right to complain, but this wasn't the time to complain. And it's a really unfortunate, but I'm sure that the players and the management and everybody associated with the club will sort of just take it on board, because you're right, the two of you are right, that if it does go pear-shaped, then that's probably what will happen to Neil Lennon. But with these stats that you threw up there of what Neil Lennon's done for that club, even he got sacked, he can hold his head high, and walk away with that kind of record, and I'm sure he'd be proud of everything that he's done.
Well, talking of pride, I think any Hearts fans who were watching that game down Gorgie Way or anywhere in Edinburgh, I think will have been through the whole roller coaster of emotions, Alison, despite the fact that it was, listen, Hearts conceded 3 goals as well, but, let's make no bones about it. Their budget is way below what Celtic were able to spend. I thought they made a real good battle of it. Halliday picked out a peach of a pass for Liam Boyce's goal to get them back in it. And then just calamitous defending, they exploited it. But Robbie Nielsen had a game plan. And I thought he made, his game plan, Alison, made it a great cup final to watch. And they were a whisker away from winning it. I mean, I still go back to the one key moment in that game where if Josh Ginnelly had an ounce of composure, Hearts would have maroon and white ribbons round the Scottish Cup. He had a great chance to win it at 2-2.
Yeah, when he blazed right over the bar, it was still wild swipe he took at it. I agree with you. I think at half time you're looking, and I have to be honest, I saw no way back for Hearts at the break. I thought Celtic looked very comfortable. I thought the tempo looked better than it has been in recent weeks. I thought had Edward scored a third just after he'd scored the penalty, I thought it was game over, and my anticipation was that Celtic would have started the second half in the same vein and with the same energy. But instead what you saw was the minute Hearts got a sniff and got themselves a goal back into the game, I just thought you could feel the tangible sense of fear going through that Celtic side. It feels so desperately fragile at the minute that the minute there's a goal conceded, you can almost hear the clock ticking. You can hear the thought process about the possibility of disaster. And from the minute it went to 2-1, I just thought the second half belonged to Hearts. I thought you were almost waiting in the equaliser when it came. Like Roughie, I think Hazard was impeded for the second goal, but at the same time you would have to ask questions over the performance as a whole, and particularly the defensive performance as a whole. And there's no doubt for me that if Celtic had gone 3-2 down, I'm not sure that they would have had it within them to come back. When Griffiths put them in front again to make it 3-2, you're thinking surely now they have the management plan to see the game out, that you go and you get through to the whistle. But when you concede again after that, I think you have to look at it. You have to go back and you have to ask question marks. And yeah, you have to also laud this fact that it's such a unique achievement, and what this group of players have done is something very special. But I think it would be remiss of anyone within that dressing room just now, or within the support, not to look at some of the calamitous defending, because it's been the undoing until to this point in the season so far.
Well, I did ask Neil Lennon at the end of the game when he came into the press conference if his biggest task as manager, however long that might be, would be to try and sort out that defence. And he's well aware of it. I mean, he didn't concede that is his biggest task. He knows the problems. I think they're back four, back five, call it what you will, needs reconstruction. I'm not going to miss the point here that Hearts deserve tremendous credit if they play like that every week. And I've watched them play some good football, albeit they get knocked out by Alloa in the League Cup. But they play like that every week, they will romp the Championship. There were so many good performances, and I think a lot of Hearts fans can be proud of the way they played the game. You have a bit of sympathy for people who miss penalty kicks, Tam. It's people say it's a lottery, but I think there's now, as you can see, over the course of some penalty shootouts, there's an art to it, there's a practice to it, and even goalkeepers can practice and get lucky as well. But I feel sorry for the likes of Whiten who missed his penalty kick as well. Just painful when you see it. Kingsley as well, a young man who will think to himself, "Oh, what might have been."
Yeah, listen, it's a pressure situation. I've obviously not been in the Scottish Cup final penalties, but I was in a Scottish Cup semi-final for Hibs against Rangers at Hampden, and there was a full house in there, and I'd actually missed a penalty kick about 3 or 4 weeks before at Ibrox, and I tried to place it against Stefan Klos, and I nearly soiled my pants and and rolled into his hands. So 3 or 4 weeks later, Peter, I'd been practicing my penalties every day until that semi-final. And I hit it as hard as I could down the middle and in the roof of the net. But I can remember walking up to take that penalty, and I'd never been so nervous in all my life. And that was a semi-final. So I can just imagine the boys walking up to that penalty kick in a final. The pressure on them was unbelievable. And some of the penalties were class. Some of the penalties were really, really good. And, a good penalty might be, keeper going the wrong way. It's a bit of a lottery. But I think if you practice it, then you have more chance of you scoring, but you've got to keep your bottle, keep your nerve, and not change your mind.
Yeah, Roughie, you're a goalkeeper. If Odsonne Edouard wants to try a Panenka in a cup final, then fair play to him. I mean, this is an entertainment.
Disrespectful.
I'm listening to some pundits saying it's disrespectful. A Wayne Gay's piece. It's an entertainment. People are there to be entertained. By the way, if he misses it, Roughie, he looks like a complete idiot. But it's up to him. If he plays a Panenka on somebody, I mean, listen, Craig Gordon threw the ball at him. I can understand Craig's frustration at it, but it's not disrespectful. What a load of nonsense even coming out with that garbage.
Yeah, it's a touch of class as far as I'm concerned. To have the ball to do it, and have the confidence to see it through
in a final.
It's absolutely, it's unbelievable. I'm trying to think, who was it missed one in a final? Was it the wee boy? Was it Cummins? Jason Cummins
missed it in the semi-final. Semi-final against Dundee United.
I mean, that just shows you how stupid you can look. But if it goes into the back of the net, it's absolutely superb. And I don't think the Celtic boys would be complaining about it. But no, I thought it was wonderful. Great bit of technique.
Yeah. I mean, just before somebody absolutely batters him for it, he thought it was wonderful from the point of view of skill. Not that Roughie was sitting there cheering because Odsonne Edouard had scored the goal. By the way, I'm just covering your tail, Roughie. William Innes has said on Facebook, why didn't you go and tell the Green Brigade to wear their masks? Well, there are two reasons why I didn't tell the Green Brigade as I was walking down there, William. And I know you're being sarcastic about it, but one, I would have got a kicking. And two, the other aspect of it is I'm not the police. It's not my job to police people who break the law. It's the police's job to get in there and tell them that they should neither be in a crowd, not socially distanced, and not wearing masks. So it's just one of those things. That's the type of thing that you have to bear in mind. Anyway, apart from anything else, Celtic won the cup, they got a quadruple treble, and while they were doing that, Rangers were racing into a 16-point lead. This was really interesting because, of course, Motherwell not only took the lead early on through Callum Lang, Roughie, but they decided to park the bus. I saw a great photograph on Twitter today, and it was the Motherwell team photograph, clearly from the start of the season, and it was just superimposed in the goal at Ibrox because clearly they decided to shut up shop, and Rangers, to their credit, just chipped and chipped and chipped away until they broke them down.
Yeah, I think everybody who, from the outside looking in at that game at 70 minutes, they would have been saying, "Oh, here we go, this is it," But if you tend to just sit in and attract that kind of pressure, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose a goal. I think a couple of Rangers' goals were quite fortunate. They got a good bounce of the ball, but you can't take end away from them. They continued, to try and get that winning goal, and at the end they got it. So that was the pleasing part from that particular game. But I've seen it done before. No teams sitting in and getting away with it. But if you get away with it, it's great. But if you don't get away with it, then you're sitting in the dressing room afterwards and you're just cussing for not coming out and trying to get a second one.
Well, I know Steven Gerrard would much prefer having the points on the board. He has them on the board. He's asked his players to just completely and utterly try to the best of their ability to block out all the noise and focus on the job. And of course, he was full of praise for their victory against Motherwell.
Obviously, much rather be where we are, of course. But there's a lot of games in hand. We understand the situation, how it lies. But in terms of the league format, that's 10 on the spin now. It's outstanding. The players are really, it's about us for me. It's about us focusing on us, and I can't ask for any more from the players, especially from a league point of view and a Europa League point of view.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, if 2020 is an absolute disaster for everybody, and how they lead their lives and how they conduct themselves, there's been the first half of 2020, which Rangers can't believe the collapse that ensued and they lost the league. Now I look at the transformation, Tam, I cannot see a collapse this time around in 2021. They just look a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, I think Steven Gerrard made a great statement there. He said it's all about us, and I feel that is for Rangers. I feel as if Rangers just need to keep winning. They don't need to worry about Celtic now. Celtic need Rangers to slip up. Rangers just need to keep doing their job every week, every game, keep winning, and Celtic can't do anything about it. So I think it's all about concentrating from a Rangers point of view, concentrating on themselves, concentrating on keeping everybody fit, keeping the confidence in the squad, and just going out and churning out victories. Probably, as you said, at the start of the year, if Rangers were 1-0 down at home to anyone, I would have been like that. I would have thought, don't really fancy Rangers to come back here. But, I was obviously at the Hibs game and I seen the score at half-time, and I always felt that Rangers would come back and win the game. And I think that's a big difference now between the Rangers of now and the Rangers of the start of the year, is that you would fancy Rangers to have the bottle now to come back and win, no matter the situation. So I think that's a great place for them to be in and the supporters to be in.
Yeah, and the evidence is there, Alison, when you look at the goals scored and the people who are scoring them. Last year, it was a one-trick pony with Morelos, really, with a lot of pressure on his shoulders to keep scoring the goals. This time, Roof chips in with 2 and Itten gets the other. These are signings that Steven Gerrard brought in to try and get him enough backup and options.
Roof and Itten have both done very well. They both look reliable players. They look capable of coming in and supplementing what you've got there. But also too, you've got goals throughout the side now. I know we've spoken about James Tavernier repeatedly this season and what he offers, but there are goals throughout that team. There's no reliance on Morelos to come up with the goods every week. But crucially for me, I think there seems to be a change in mentality. It seems like a confident Rangers team. It seems that the belief is there. It's not eroded if they lose a goal. It's not diminished if there are questions asked of them during the game. I think over the last week you might have seen a few frailties that maybe haven't been evident over the course of the campaign and its duration. You saw them shipping 3 goals against St Mirren and then losing a goal at Motherwell. So you're talking four goals in 2 games, whereas I think they'd only lost 4 league games up until that point. So you're seeing a wee bit of fragility that wasn't evident. But I think the overall impression is that they are capable of sustaining the run that they're on. And I think if Celtic are to be serious about closing the gaps, then what you need is to put pressure on by winning every one of your games. But I'm not sure that Celtic look capable of such a run, and I'm not sure that Rangers look as though they're going to drop any serious amount of points between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. I can't see Rangers collapsing the same way, Roughie, and certainly on the evidence of yesterday, I don't think you can guarantee Celtic winning every game. I think we're in for a huge, what are we on? A huge 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, Roughie, are absolutely massive. I think games all the way up until that game at Ibrox, where Rangers, I think, can absolutely put themselves out of sight.
Yeah, and I think another thing in Rangers' favour is as well, the only teams that I'm looking at that would maybe give them something is Aberdeen, and Hibs. I think all the other teams have been very, very poor this year. There's no consistency level in any of them, so that for me, Aberdeen and Hibs are probably away from home are places you would look at. There might be a wee hiccup, but apart from that, I can't see many other teams taking points off them.
Yeah, okay. Some other news I want to get your thoughts on. Of course, Motherwell, at the end of the day, didn't get the result they were looking for, despite the fact that they went a goal up and were in the lead for quite a long period of the game. Stephen Robinson had a different take on why it didn't go in their favour.
Absolutely everything for us. And they carried it out to the letter. We frustrated Rangers, which was the plan. As I said, they were making lots of subs, lots of quality coming onto the pitch, but I didn't feel that they were going to score. I didn't feel under threat, and as I say, their 3 goals were from 3 of our mistakes. It wasn't from brilliant play where you hold your hands up and say, Davo's cut you open, or Hadzi's done some magic. It didn't happen.
Well, it's amazing how managers have their look on a game and how it played out, but certainly from the Rangers fans, and lots of them that I've spoken to weren't happy with Motherwell's tactics on this. But as ever, Stephen Robinson's not there to please Rangers fans. He's there to work out how to get a result against a team with greater strength than he has at his disposal. In the end, it didn't work out for him. As well as that game in the Premiership, there was another one which in the end cost a manager his job. Roughie, Ross County lost 2-0 to Hamilton Accies, and Stuart Kettlewell came out at the end, Roughie, and just basically enlightened everybody that he'd been sacked.
Yeah, absolutely ruthless for the owner. It's not the first time that we've seen this, but I mean, to come right after the game, and I'd love to have seen the scenario how it all happened. Kamir came into this room and let me tell you something, but I thought he handled himself pretty well, born and bred up there. But he knows that where they are at this precise moment in time, the owner doesn't suffer fools gladly. It's not the first time he's moved on. Jim McIntyre, he's moved on. Oh, even Dick Campbell, when he was sitting top of the league, he moved him on, and Derek Adams as well. So no, he wants to be in that top division, and if you're not doing it for him, then he'll get somebody else in.
Well, and the somebody else he's got in is John Hughes, your old mucker. And of course, Tam, you now have to look for someone entertaining and funny to sit alongside you at Hibs television. So Big Yogi is... I'm amazed he's been out of the game that long, Tam, but I think it's a great choice for them. I think they've got a fighting chance with him there, and he's got longer than he had at Wraith Rovers to try and turn it around.
Yeah, listen, I'm absolutely delighted for Yogi. I've got a lot of time for him. I played with him. I played under him at Falkirk. As you said, I've been on Hibs TV with him a couple of times. He's absolutely roasted me, so I'm glad that he's not there anymore. But I think he's had one real bad job. I think that Wraith Rovers really, spoiled his CV a little bit towards the end, and he's found it very difficult to get back in. He'd done a brilliant job at Inverness. He'd take them to third in the league and win the Scottish Cup was fantastic. Done a decent job at Hibs. He'd done a brilliant job at Falkirk. So he's had a lot of success, but I just feel as if obviously the Wraith Rovers getting relegated with him it killed them a little bit. So I know from speaking to him and being on the show with him, he's been desperate to get back in at any level. So I am absolutely thrilled for him that he's back in at Premier League level. I'm sure he will be as well. He knows that area well, obviously for his time at Inverness. So I think he can galvanise that squad and get them going. He's a great man manager, and I wish him all the best. I really hope that he does well up there, and I wouldn't say repairs his reputation, but just gets himself back into the public eye is a really good manager again, because, as I said, the Wraith Rovers thing, I think, just spoiled his copybook a little bit.
Yeah, although let's take nothing away from Hamilton Accies, Alison, because they went about their business in good fashion. I mean, Ross Callaghan sent them on their way. And again, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, from being written off, Brian Rice and his side have bounced back. Incidentally, Alison, I mean, everywhere I go, Brian Rice is at the matches. He must be the only manager who literally he's at every game.
He's at Easter Road every time I'm there.
Every time I look behind him, there's Brian Rice at the cup final. I mean, honestly, I know, it's incredible, but
must swag out of his.
He's doing really well to turn it around when people thought he was going to get sacked, Alison.
I thought that was a huge result for them on Saturday, all the more so because they were coming off on the back of a real sore win against Hibs last weekend, because he'd been on a decent wee run and then hammered against Jack Ross's side. You're looking at it and seeing how they get back onto it from there, and I thought it was a huge result to go up to Dingwall and come back and take the points. But yeah, them and St Mirren, I think you've really seen a turn in fortunes over the last few weeks. It certainly makes it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I did get a chance to see the highlights of Hibs against Dundee United. I have to say, Roughie, Hibs should have won the game by about 5. The goalkeeper, Siegrist, was outrageous. I mean, he was pulling off saves like you'd never believe.
I'm just waiting in the team of the week, and if Gabriel's not got him in the goalkeeper, it was just one. It was one of these days. Yeah, it was one of these days, Peter, that every goalkeeper has them. They were just hitting off him. There were a couple of really world-class saves, but even the ones that were hitting his leg or hitting his arm, he didn't know where they were. And sometimes you carry that bit of luck, but it definitely, I mean, Hibs should have won 4 or 5 1 in that game quite easily, and you could see that the Hibs manager really gutted by the amount of chances that they created. So, yeah, it's 2 points lost for them, but I'm sure Dundee United will take it.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting, though, sorry, I was going to say, I've seen Siegrist a couple of times this season, and every game I've seen, he's had at least 2 or 3 excellent saves, like saves that you think, gosh, it really keeps your team in it, defining saves. And you've spoken about Celtic's frailties and deficiencies. I just don't know that you've seen that from any one of those 3 goalkeepers that have played throughout the duration of a normal game, making saves that save the points, that protect the game. I think it's been notable.
Yeah. Tam, can you be honest with us for a second? I remember Stan Collymore scoring for Liverpool against Newcastle, and the camera cut to Kevin Keegan, and all you seen on the camera was Kevin Keegan going, and he just couldn't believe it. Did you do that?
Oh my God.
Bolton scored.
I don't know if I've got a copy of it, but you wouldn't have heard me when they scored. I was fuming. I can't remember what I said. I couldn't believe it. It was the biggest smash and grab I've ever seen in football. As Roughie said, the goalkeeper was unbelievable. He saved everything. There was a bit of bad finishing. Listen, Christian Doyle should have scored 2. He's missed 2 great chances. He's got to score. He misses a lot of chances, Christian, to be honest. And he missed two sitters. And listen, even the goal was spawny. I mean, I think Joe Neal comes back to try and clear it. It deflects off him into Bolton's path in the last kick of the ball. I couldn't believe it. And I can just imagine Hibs supporters sitting watching it and throwing things at the telly. It was a nightmare, but the positives are Hibs played really, really well. And if they play that way against St Mirren, they'll win. They'll take their chances.
Yeah, that's great, Roughie. I always feel as if when Tam's on the programme, I get a real emotional and nostalgic look back at when I was at school, because he comes out with words that I haven't heard since I was in the playground. Spawny. I haven't heard that for ages, Roughie, but Tam brought it back into your vocabulary.
And I'd love to have heard him when that goal went in at the end.
Honestly.
It's priceless. Absolutely priceless.
Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it was a fantastic performance as a goalkeeper from Siegrist. Just a pity that Gabriel hasn't included him in our team of the week. I'll come to that in a minute. Anyway, Ali, you were at St Mirren, St Johnstone. What a game. I mean, the highlights of it were sensational in St Mirren with the fight back. It's been great for Jim Goodwin in the last week.
To be honest, I didn't really see it coming either. It was 2-1 to St Johnstone. They were down to 10 men, and I didn't think St Mirren were creating a huge number of chances. And then all of a sudden, you get 2 quick goals. I think 2 goals in 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and it's 3-2. But what a week for them, putting Rangers out the League Cup midweek, and then taking what was a huge 3 points, and that's them up to 8th now. I think they're within touching distance of a top 6 place. And earlier, the way at the start of the season, when Tony Fitzpatrick said that he thought that squad was good enough to get into the top 6, I would have been among those scoffing and thinking that he was putting his manager under a serious amount of pressure. But you're looking at recent weeks and thinking, I think they might have the capability of just steering themselves up there.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody tipped
everybody.
Peter. I don't think anybody tipped St Mirren to the top 6, did they?
No, definitely not. No, I did tip Ross County for relegation, but I might have to change my mind, Roughie, now that John Hughes is in there, because I'm a big fan. Lachlan Gold, I like people who send us messages. Some people send us messages a wee bit of banter, which we like. We mentioned that. Listen, we're not exempt from criticism. I don't mind people giving us a battering as long as you don't make it sectarian or racist or indeed abusive to the point where it's just in bad taste. Lachlan Gold, I think, makes a great point. He says, Tam, St Mirren will pump you. Now that's great. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. That's somebody's opinion on it. And I think Kenny Whitson says, yeah, absolutely. Kenny Whitson says, you're going to have to explain, Peter, to your younger viewers what spawny means. Yeah, jammy, lucky. It's as simple as that. Thanks, Kenny, for just keeping us right on that. Kilmarnock against Aberdeen, in the end, 2 goals for the Dons, Roughie, and they get another good win.
Yeah, Kilmarnock have lost their way a wee bit just now. The Brophies and that were coming up with goals, to get them points. It's not happening that way just now, and they are losing pretty bad goals as well. There was nothing you could do with the second one, but no, Aberdeen are just grinding away there, and we keep talking about Aberdeen Hibs, who's it going to be? So I think the next game coming round against these two will be really exciting to see which way it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you who I do like, Tam. If he's one of those guys you'd love in your 5-a-side team as well. Never mind 11. The boy Hedges. I think he's got a trick. I think he looks good, albeit he got a deflected goal, but he's still good on his left peg.
I like him. I think he's really talented. He's like a number 10. He floats in between the lines and he plays behind the striker. He can get at teams. He's got a good change of pace. He can slip a pass through. He can finish. Really, really talented player. Good to watch if you're an Aberdeen fan, and nice to watch for the neutral as well. So he's been doing really well for him. He just needs to sort his Barnet out and he'd be top draw.
Yeah, John Murphy has sent us John. Yeah, as if you need to talk about your Barnet at the start of 2020. You were dressed like a Bond villain with that blonde hair. Don't think we don't remember how you looked at the start of the year. John Murphy says, "Where is Alison's PLZ training top?"
I said that at the start.
It is. I know. It's going.
They've ran out of blue ones.
The big dilemma. That's the problem. The big dilemma is what colour are you going to wear, because you get absolute pelters no matter. I have managed to wear all 4 of them because we were desperately, I think for the last few years, desperately trying to get the retro top to pay homage. I remember the Bill Shankleys, the Brian Cloughs, the Bob Paisley, Sir Bobby Robson, all had this kind of top, and we gave it a kind of a 21st feel to it. You can get it in the shop. So I decided to wear the 4 colours. Tam, I get you wearing the green and white because obviously you played for Hibs. Roughie's gone for the kind of a Partick Thistle red, and Charlie and Naisy have gone for the blue. But Alison, it's the big dilemma. Everybody's waiting on it. We can't wait for 2021. I think you'll be on the show on January the 3rd, so we'll make sure you have your top ready for there.
But we'll have the green and white hoops one done by then.
Well, to be fair, by the way, on January the 4th, she goes into the witness protection scheme. So good luck to you, Ali. Anyway, the answer is, yeah, absolutely. We will get you your top over. Thanks everybody showing their concern. No surprise, Ali, that David Martindale gets the Livy job on a full-time basis.
Oh, he's been excellent. The results have been extraordinary since he took over from Gary Holt. There's been a real shift there. You can obviously see that the players have responded to him, and I think if you're looking from the outside in, I think that's the first thing that you look for if you've got the confidence of the dressing room, and that's been reflected in the performances and a few big wins in there for them.
Yeah, here's the Premiership table, just to give you a look over what has happened over the weekend. And it's great viewing if you're a Rangers fan, because despite the 3 games played more than Celtic, the points are in the bag. 16 ahead of Celtic. Is there any way back for Neil Lennon's men? Or, as Steven Gerrard said at the top of the programme, it's all about what Rangers do now. It's about fighting for the preliminary or the smaller places that I think everybody else will be looking at now and wondering, can anybody catch Rangers? At the bottom end of it, who's going to face the drop with Yogi Hughes in charge at Ross County? Can he pull off the great escape at the bottom end? 2021 with so many unanswered questions. And the big one, which everybody's under pressure, Gabriel Antoniazzi from time to time gets it in the neck for his choice of Team of the Week. Is Connor Hazard, with a couple of penalty saves, going to sneak the goalkeeper's position? It's here's the
unfortunate timing.
Here's the Team of the Week.
Benjamin Siegrist made several huge saves again to keep his side alive and earn United a point. Christopher Ayer is much improved at right back and scored the winning penalty to secure Celtic's quadruple treble. Aaron Martin helped his side to a clean sheet up in Dingwall, marshalling the back line. Scott Tanzer played a great ball to win the penalty before tucking one in with his weaker foot. Stephen Kingsley was the Cup Final's best player with a goal and assist before heartbreak in the shootout. Tam McManus opened his Hibs account with a cross-come shot and helped his side dominate midfield. Andy Irving was impressive for the Jambos and played with more experience than a 20-year-old should do. Kyle McAllister came off the Buddies bench to create 2 goals in the final 10 minutes. Ryan Hedges has been the Don's standout player this season, and there were plenty of nice touches to accompany his goal. Kemar Roof is the man who saved Rangers with 2 instinctive finishes into the roof of the net. Lee Owen led St Mirren's line and got his goal to make it 11 in a row unbeaten.
Well, has he missed anybody out there, Roughie? I think Siegrist had to get the nod.
Yeah. I would have had Ryan Christie in there just for that goal. Touch of class, absolute touch of class. In a cup final, as his name would have been right in there for me.
Yep. I'm sure. Has he missed anybody in your mind, Tam?
No, I wouldn't think so. I thought Martin Boyle had a great game for Hibs, but nah, apart from that.
Yep, I agree with you on that.
Well
Martin
done,
Boyle
Gabs.
was good for Hibs. Well done, Gabs. What about the predictor scores? Here's how it all looks, guys. For Roughie, you're within 4 points of him. You must be delighted. I mean, I'm only what, 9 away from him. Suddenly, Roughie, our cunning plan is working because we are reeling him in.
He was very, very fortunate that Aberdeen second goal win.
I was
very fortunate.
I was going to text you.
Yeah, that just shows you how it goes. But no, it's getting closer.
Yeah, it's getting closer. And to be fair, by the way, Roughie, what was the bet that I had with you, Tam, that merited me getting a bottle of wine off you? I can't remember.
The semi-final, you took Hearts and I took Hibs.
Yes, that was it. Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
I always pay my bets. I hand-delivered a nice bottle of wine to him today.
Yep, absolutely. It was fantastic. Just put it on the doorstep, and the butler made sure he was off the grounds, Alison, so that he couldn't get anywhere near the mansion. It's as simple as that. As far as this is our last full show before everybody takes a wee break for Christmas. I'm sure you would grant us that possibility. But we will be back with a live show on the day of the game, Rangers against Celtic at Ibrox. We'll be there for the Old Firm derby. We're looking forward to it. It could be a defining moment in the season for not only Steven Gerrard, but almost certainly for Neil Lennon. Will Celtic slip up before that game and make it just one of those games that won't really matter in the big scheme, or will indeed it be a moment where Neil Lennon's side suddenly blast themselves back into contention in the title race? You can give us your thoughts on it. We'll be live with PLZ Soccer on YouTube, Facebook, and of course on Twitter. Hopefully you can join us on January the 2nd for that. I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll be there as well. Fingers crossed I'll be there, depending on how well I feel over the course of the Christmas period. As far as anything else is concerned, and hopefully Roughie will be there as well as he takes a big giant cough. As far as the end of season, I always think 2020, there's lots of players that we've watched over the course of this year. I mean, we got to the end of the season in the summer there, where we're looking at who would be in the team of the decade now, as we define it. Here's our 11 players that each of us have selected. Here's my 11 of what I would consider the best players over the period of 10 years. It's heavily dominated with Celtic players. I make no apologies for it because they have been the dominant force throughout. And Foster's in there, Lustig, Van Dijk, Weir and Tierney. I never thought I'd pick Lustig, but he's got an incredible record. Wanyama, Brown, McGregor and John McGinn, and Forrest and Dembele. Roughie, what did you make of that team?
Yeah, I think it's, I would say 50% of that team are in my team. I think the players you've left out, there is an argument. I put Alan McGregor in. I think Alan McGregor has been superb, but it could have been Fraser Foster. There's no doubt about that. I got Tierney in my side, Van Dijk in my side, Davy Weir in my side. I've went with two sitting players. I've went with Davis and Brown. And then I went with McGinn in a three, McGinn, McGregor, and Forrest out wide. And Dembele obviously has got to be in there. And I put Lee Griffiths beside him because of the goals that he scored when, before all the troubles that he's had, the amount of goals he was scoring year on year deserved him to be in there.
Yeah, okay, not a bad side, Roughie. A couple of players in there that obviously is open to debate. Alison, what about your side? What have you gone for?
Yeah, very similar to yours, I think, Peter. I went for a kind of 3-5-2. I had Edward and Dembele in. I just think I know we've not really seen a fly in Edward this season, but I think when he's on his game, I think there's an argument to say that he might even go on and eclipse what Moussa Dembele does in the game. I think he has an extraordinary natural talent and he's still very young, can go on and make his mark. I think Brown is very difficult to ignore just because of the influence that he's had over the last decade. I was close to picking Alan McGregor. I was between Alan McGregor and Foster for the goalkeeper, but I thought Foster just edged it just for some of the manner of the performances and big European performances too. Lustig, I had question marks over too, but when you look at it, I'm not sure that there's too many other contenders would come close to taking that position.
Yeah, and Tam, do you feel
our green top will be on its way as we speak. Our PLZ top will be on her way after that team.
Tam, do you feel any guilt picking Shadler, Stanton and Sosie in your team of the decade?
No,
I don't think you really grasped it, no?
No, I don't. This is my team. I've obviously put a couple of more Rangers players in. Goalkeeper, I think, picks itself. Foster, Van Dijk, Tierney. My friend, Mr. Tavernier, I think he's a better player than Lustig. I know Lustig has won plenty of trophies and a lot more trophies than Tavernier has, but I think Tavernier's a better player. I think Barisic has got to be in it. I think he's top drawer. And then I've got my midfield three, I think, picked themselves. McGinn, Brown, McGregor. Forrest and Sinclair. I think Sinclair was absolutely outstanding for Celtic. And then I've got to pick Lee Griffiths because not only has Lee Griffiths scored so many goals for Celtic, he scored 40 goals one season, I think, to win the league. He scored 25 goals, I think, in a horrific Hibs team that just about get relegated. So I think that shows you that he can do it outside the old firm as well. So I had to have Lee Griffiths in there for the amount of goals he scored over the past 10 years.
Yeah, and Alison, to be perfectly honest with you, the great thing about you as part of our team, since I made the signing of you as part of the PLZ team, it's absolutely fantastic because you've taken the plaudits and you've also taken the criticism in equal measure. And I've read out some of the nice things that are said about you. And I always read out some of the things that are not nice. And John Kelly's having none of it. John Kelly is just absolutely battered you, Alison. He just says, Alison, your team of the decade is worse than your lipstick. FFS. So clearly, John is miffed at you, Alison. He's not happy with your team. You need to get a grip of yourself.
It must be different for the type viewers.
Yeah, John doesn't care. John has basically said, you've fought for equality, so hold on to that. It's as simple as that, Alison. He's not happy with your team. But it's all about opinions. I just thought I'd read it to you anyway. Yes, Ali?
It's about to say he can send me his team of the week and his lipstick choices anytime.
Absolutely. Listen, just before we go, a couple of quick things. Marcus Rashford was honoured at what they call the BBC Sports Personality of the Year, the big back-slapping event. And at the end of it, I think the most worthy recipient was indeed Marcus Rashford. For me, he is, on and off the pitch, I think, inspirational to any youngster out there. If you want to aspire to be a footballer and conduct yourself properly, Marcus Rashford epitomises everything that you would want in a footballer, Roughie. And what he's done off the pitch this season, if his mum is not the proudest mum in the world, I'll be gobsmacked.
Yeah, it just shows you that majority of footballers don't forget their roots. They don't forget where they've come from, whatever background they've come from. And he just summed everything up. He appreciated what was going on at schools for the underprivileged and everything. And the good thing about it was he'd done something about it. And to make this government, change, their views is something, and he deserves everything that's coming its way. And I hope he does. I hope he gets on the park as well, because you want to see that kind of guy being very, very successful in his career.
Yeah, it was heartening, some of the interviews and the interview with his mum, and you could see his family, Alison, what he's gone through to actually put himself out there and persistently try and push the narrative without being seen as politically swaying one way or the other. I thought it was very, very clever to try and say, look, this is not about politics. This is about kids who need food.
It's extraordinary what he's done. He's used his power and the position that he's found himself in now to maximum effect and to the greater good. The influence that he's brought for all these kids and for what he's done is just it's excellent, and he deserves all the plaudits he gets. But what you would say is it's appalling that in this day and age it was necessary.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there, Alison. Certainly when you look at Great Britain and the wealth, how we have kids starving, how we have kids needing to get food, and how we have food banks in the first place is for another show. That's called Peter and Roughie's Politics Show, which starts next year. No, it doesn't, Tam. I'm only winding you up. The other point I was going to make, Tam...
I'll not be on it.
I'm going to... yeah, absolutely. I'm going to compliment another person. I mean, well done to Jurgen Klopp. I could listen to him all day. I think he's a brilliant man. He won Coach of the Year, but the one person that I think also deserves credit is Jordan Henderson, because when you get an award and you pick up an award, Tam, sometimes I think it's heartening when you listen to the captain of Liverpool. Jordan Henderson said, this is a team effort, and by team I don't mean the players on the park. And he highlighted, anybody from, a woman who cleans up to somebody who feeds them, the chef. He went round everybody that was part of that Liverpool side and that effort, and I thought that was magnificent.
Yeah, I thought it was great as well, Peter, and you're right, it is a whole club effort, from the kit man, kit lady to, people that clean the kit. Everybody in the whole club is part of success. So I think he was great to highlight that. The guys that go and drive the buses, guys that clean the boots, whatever. It's fantastic that he highlighted all those people, because those are the heart and soul of football clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good way to finish the programme. All I would say to you is don't forget, if you're looking for the up-to-date news, we've got it on our Twitter at PLZ Soccer. Stay with us on our Facebook page because you'll get all the latest updates. You can like, share and follow us. And on our YouTube, you can subscribe. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for sticking with us. Some of us joining the football family and being part of PLZ Soccer. Over the course of the year, we have thoroughly enjoyed having you with us. And Tam, I know that by the time I usually finish, you jump away as quick as you can, but I want you to stay on, Tam, so that we get a chance to just have a wee chat with each other. Don't go away quickly. But the one thing I would say to each and every one of you is thank you for the countless messages. I want you to have a great
Put
Christmas.
my dinner in the oven.
I want you to pay particular attention to the rules offered by the First Minister. I'd love you to have the best new year. Let's hope we can put this terrible year behind us and go into 2021 with a bit of joy, a vaccine, put the old COVID behind us and go back to some kind of normal life. It would be fantastic. That is my wish for you. Health, happiness, as good a Christmas as you could possibly get from everyone in the PLZ soccer team who are with you on a Monday to Friday. Thank you very much for supporting us. I'll be bringing you updates all the way through this week, all the way through to the new year, where you can join us in our live broadcast outside Ibrox ahead of Rangers versus Celtic. And we will be back bigger and better with more programmes that I think you're going to enjoy in the new year. So from Tam, Ali, Roughie and myself, Peter Martin, have a great Christmas, have a great new year. Thank you for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit Arnold Club.